Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name's Doug Jenkins. This is What Are We Talking About? Plug-in edition. We're going to talk about the plugs. We're going to talk about things that we're doing, and I'm going to talk about a plugin that just came out and what I like about it. I literally feel there is something in the air, man. All of a sudden, plugins sound really good, and I would say, to be fair to you guys out there, I really want to talk about hardware next time. What you're hearing on this video right now is my Antelope Amari feeding the video feed. My Pure 2 with 10M is running AES out to that, so you're hearing it captured. My vocals just going through a CAD microphone into an SSL pre, but hopefully we can get you a better representation of the audio. Now, this video I've done like 4 times because I'm setting up my streaming, and I said in the comments on my last video, it's like a mechanic working on his own car. I mean, it's like I work on records in the day, and I work on mixes and streaming and stuff like that's different. So, that's not my forte. My forte is in like making stuff sound awesome. Just capturing it's been a problem. But yeah, let's get into it. So I have this plugin from Plugin Alliance. Shout out to these guys. It's called it's from Mixland, the Vac Attack vacuum tube limiter. Very interesting. And once again, this was Sean, aka Morpheus. He always keeps me on my toes. He says, "What do you think about this?" And then I'm like, "Oh, let me check it out." And this one, I'm going to say what I feel. This has an oversample of 16x. Let me get to it, what it does, and then we'll just do an audio sample and cut all the talking. So it has reduction, which is threshold. So it has a set ratio. Now, I don't know if it's dependent on the threshold, but you can hear it in the sound. It sounds like almost like a distressor does. The more you hit it, the more it pushes, the less it pushes, and so forth. So it's sort of a set thing. But the gain is actually independent by itself, but once you hit the reduction, it's dependent on the way you're hitting it. The knee, that's obviously the slope of the threshold and how much and how smooth. So like a knee that's just boom, like it's more aggressive sounding, I would say, musically. You also have in the bottom left corner, oh, I'm sorry, you still have this knob. This is the mix knob, which is parallel, really, so you can let some of the original signal through. That's pretty common on plugins today. And now you have something really interesting that I actually used quite a bit and became one of the more, I would say, great parts of this plugin to me, was the sidechain. So real quick, a sidechain, this is the frequency that I set the sidechain to. So I can either tell this compressor that I want to add more 230 hertz, 238 hertz in this case, to the compressor. Now, you don't hear this audibly, so if you're new to sidechains, this is like a signal behind the scenes telling the compressor to compress those frequency ranges more than the others. So, for example, if I wanted to add more kick drum, which I did on this one, let me bypass this. I actually cut about 12 dBs at 128 hertz. So this lets the body of the kick and the snare come through while it's compressing everything else around it. It's a cool little trick if you're looking into getting your mixes a little bit bigger sounding without this is a great way to get a bigger sounding mix and compressing quite a bit without pumping and without hearing it. So I'm going to go through. So I've explained all of this left panel. Let me explain this, and then we'll go through all this. And then we'll go through the audio example. So this is low filter, high filter. There's 2 EQ modes. I think this was based on the gentleman that built this, or the company. And there's a low filter push and a high filter push. It's really cool how it works, because then you can use this THD knob, almost like a harmonic knob, to add gain and add girth, or in a case with the piano that we did, it really added this growl / kind of harmonic that was almost to distortion, so it sounded really cool. I really found that this plugin, I'll tell you real quick, it sounds good with reverbs. When you have something that has a reverb, you need a soft, smooth kind of reverb, it really does well with that, popping that out. And I'll show you that. I put a flex verb on prior, so you'll get to hear it pre on the kick snare loop, and then you'll hear it post on the piano loop. So you'll hear this thing, and I know why they called it the Vac Attack. I mean, it's like a vortex, man. It sucks everything in, and it sounds massive. So without any more hesitation, let me start with the plugs off. We're going to run through the Amari converter. It should sound pretty awesome. I'm going to turn my mic off, and I'm just going to start tweaking with this stuff. And hopefully you guys get to hear it in action, and it's cool. So here we go. All right, I think I've had enough fun. That's just basic mixing, man. I'm getting in there having fun with this. So what do I take away from this plug? The thing that I noticed that it does really well is it takes the sounds that are like beyond the sound and it brings them in focus. When you notice that I put this flex verb on, I wanted to do this for the video because I noticed that when I was using it in another session, I went, man, that really does well with reverb. It almost makes it like where it images the verb, and they did a great job with that. So anything that has that depth, I noticed on their demo of this, Mixland's demo, they had a really, really wet kind of mix, but it was still, I mean, it was a great mix, but it did have a lot of room, and you could hear the rooms and stuff, and it just enhanced everything. You notice when I take this off, you notice instantly how small and how narrow and how just boring the three loops that I have is going. But you got to understand it. I like mixing and EQ and compression, they go hand in hand. So I was trying to clear up some things, give it a little brightness in the piano, give it that epic sound. I ended up adding that LA2A at the end just to give it more drive, and I would probably work on that a little more. I would probably work on the drum of the loop, like the snare sounded a little bit papery to me. I would still work on that. But overall, when you hear it in context, we'll do one more time. I really wanted to make that sound dull, and that is mixing, and I'd love to get into some more mixing videos, not just plug-in and shootout and stuff like that. But that is an incredible plugin for in the box. It does sound like a vacuum tube. It does sound like what I would expect from like a Manley Very and it does have a really musical sound to it. So I'll end the video by cutting my mic and coming back to it and doing a bypass. And before and after, my name was Doug Jenkins. If you haven't watched my channel before, I'm excited to be back and doing these. I took a hiatus. We had a lot of work, so my main gig is mixing and engineering, and I've been fortunate to be busy with that. But man, it's like I miss YouTube. I miss doing this, so we're going to hit play, and we'll see you next video. And I would do the what are we talking about thing, but that's, you know we know what we're talking about. So let's hit play, and then I'll bypass, and we'll get out of here.